Alrighty, so I'm going to be doing the Tinetti test. This is a test that's used to test both balance, sitting balance, standing balance, and then also parts of gait cycle. Some of the implications used for this test are to help determine the patient's risk of falling, high risk, moderate risk, or low risk of falling. So first off, patient's name is Kaylee. Kaylee's going to be performing this test today with us. So the first thing, this is based off a scale of 0, 1, or 2. 0 being unable to perform it or perform it at a lower level. So the higher that she scores, the lower the risk of falling. So the first thing I'm going to be looking for with Kaylee is her sitting balance. So are you able to just sit there in the chair without leaning left or right or having to use any of the armrests? So since she's able to perform that normally, I'd score that a 1 instead of a 0. So the next thing I'm going to ask Kaylee to do is to stand up from the chair. And so if you can do this without using your arms for help, do that. So since she was able to stand up without using her arms, she would score the highest. Different ways you could score this would be unable to rise, able to get up, but using her arms to help her, and then, like she did it, able to stand up without any use of her arms. So she would get the highest score for that one. Also, while you're watching this, would be attempts to rise. So if she wasn't able to get up at all, again, that'd be a 0. If she was able to do it, but she had to have multiple attempts, that'd be a 1. Since she got it on her first try, that's going to be the highest score of 2. So then also while she was standing, I was also assessing within 5 seconds of her standing if she was able to stand up without wobbling or losing balance. So when she did stand, she was able to be firm and stable and fully balanced. If she was unsteady and she started to kind of move and sway, that'd be a lower score. A middle score would be if she was able to stand but she needed something to steady herself on, like the use of a walker, a cane, or other assistive devices. But again, she was able to do that with no assistive devices and steady, so she scored a 2. The next section in this test is standing balance. So while I'm here explaining stuff, you can see that she's really not swaying back and forth. She is able to stay steady without the use of a aid or assistive device, so she'll score a 2 with that as well. So now this next part of the test, testing balance, is nudging. And so with a patient, I would be placing down the clipboard and I would be guarding. And so what this is just going to be, I'm going to be nudging the patient different ways. So if I'm going to nudge from her left side, I'm going to stand in front and guard her. So in case she did fall, I was able to protect her. So you don't necessarily have to tell the patient which way you're nudging her, but you're just seeing if she's going to able to keep her balance. So I'm applying different pressures, different parts of her body, pushing posterior, anterior. Again, while you're doing this, you want to make sure that you're guarding, so in case they do fall or stumble, you're there to try to help control that fall down or to steady themselves before they do fully fall. So since she was able to resist all the nudging and still maintain her balance and be steady, she would score the highest. If she begins to fall, then she would score 0, and if she kind of staggers but then she catches herself and then re-steadies herself, that'd be a middle score of 1. Next part is going to be standing there with her eyes closed. So I'm going to ask Kaylee to stand there with her eyes closed. We're looking to see if she remains steady or if she's unsteady. Well, you can do this for 5 to 10 seconds. So as I'm talking, it's been about 5, so she still remains steady. So she scored a 1. Good job, Kaylee. So now this next part is going to be turning in a 360-degree manner. And so one of the things that you're going to be looking for is a smooth and controlled movement all the way around, and also to see if she staggers. One of the ways they can tell if she staggers or loses her balance is if as she's turning, if she lunges or takes a step with her foot. So I'm going to go ahead and lower this camera angle. We're going to look at her feet. So Kaylee, can you please turn in a 360-degree circle? Good, thank you. So as you can see, the movement was slow, it was controlled, she didn't have any kind of staggering, any kind of stepping outside of that normal base of support, so she would get the full score for that. Also, you're looking to see if it was continuous or if she had to like pause and then turn and pause. That would also score lower. Next, we're going to move on to some of the gait section of this test. This test is broken up between gait and just sitting balance, but we're going to do both here today. So for the first part, I'm going to ask her to just go ahead and start walking. And we're going to turn this so we can watch her walk. And what we're really looking for here is as she's walking, if she's hesitating in between steps or if it's just a nice fluid movement. We're also looking for step length, step height. On the test, you're looking to see if she's using her right foot and stepping all the way through, if she's using her left foot and stepping all the way through. You're also looking for foot clearance both on the left and right side. Step symmetry to make sure that her right and left step are equal in length. If they're not, that is a lower score. Step continuity, so this is just if she's able to be continuous through her steps and not staggering in between them or having to take pauses in between each step. We're also looking for her path. We're making sure she's able to walk in a straight line and she's really not kind of swaying back and forth or deviating from that straight line. Two more things. We're also looking for her trunk. As you can see that she is not swaying her trunk at all, so that's going to be the highest score. If she would start to sway or if her knees were starting to buckle, that would be a much lower score. And then walking time. So if her heels are apart, that is also a lower score. If your heels are almost touching while walking, then that is the bigger score. And so that just implies you're able to take your normal step width and you don't need to have them too far out to increase that base of support for balance. So since she was able to do all that with the normal, within normal limits, with the highest function, she would score the highest in all of those on both the left and right feet. And then so the final part of the test, it's also the final part of the sitting one. If we can put the camera back, see, towards the chair. This last part we're just going to assess. We're going to ask the patient or Kaylee to sit down. And so what we're going to be looking for is her backing up into the chair, finding it with her legs, reaching back, and then have a slow and controlled sit down motion. Go ahead, Kaylee.
Should I use my arms or no?
You can use your arms, yep.
Okay.
Alright, so since the patient was able to go down in a smooth and controlled manner, she would get the highest score. A 0 for this test would be if she was unsafe by misjudging the distance between where the chair was and where she was standing. Also, if she just falls in the chair, so it's an uncontrolled descent. A medium score would be using your arms, but it's still not a very slow and smooth motion. But she was able to sit down in a smooth motion without the use of her arms, which she could have used as long as it was smooth and controlled. So then we would add up all the scores for the balance section, and then we'd also add up all the scores for our gait section as well. And then so the total scores can be out of 28. So if you score above a 28 or above a 24, that would indicate a low risk of falling. So like we said before, if you score higher, your risk of falling is lower, inversely related. So she scored a perfect, so she has a very low risk of falling. Now, if she would have scored between 19 and 23, it would be a moderate risk of falling. And so we might want to keep an eye on that, maybe work on some balance exercises that might increase that. And then finally, if she scored below an 18, that's going to be a very high risk of falling. And you would for sure want to work on some balance things depending on if it was in sitting balance or walking. Also, if you score in this range, you would probably want to make sure that they have an assistive device while walking, because you definitely want to try to err on the safe side and make sure that they take all the precautions to prevent any kind of future falls. And so that is the Tinetti test. Thank you.